Okay. Are you ready? Is everyone here?
No. No. Can you hear us, Arne?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So Uluzi is just coming back in a sec. Yeah, he's there.
Okay.
So
Hello, everyone. Hello, Vault. Hello, Europe. We apologize for the little bit of delay. We had a bit of technical issues. We are having to do with the voting tool as well. So, and the live stream. Apologies for that. But now we're up and running. I am Hulusi from Vault Cyprus, and I have here with me my friends Elise and Alessia from France and from Italy. We are a collective of moderators from the Southern Europe, Mediterraneans, and I hope we will be able to take you through today's General Assembly timely, and we will prove you that Mediterraneans can also hold their time. Time is now is exactly 12:04, and the minute taker Rosalie de Bose will record the minutes of the General Assembly via the YouTube stream and it is designated minute taker in accordance with Article 13 of the statute and Article 2138 of the internal regulations. This General Assembly is regarding collaboration and igniting engagement. We are going through some very difficult days and period in Europe and all across Europe and the world. Volt, as its biggest power, unity, it's more than ever more important for us to get together, collaborate, and engage with everybody around us and keep repeating the message: unity in Europe and unity in the world. That is what is going to keep us on the right track during these difficult times. Okay, I want to remind all members that individuals who have been members for more than 30 days have been sent several emails containing their voting link. If you have not received this information, please check both your personal and Volt email accounts, including your spam folder. If you are still received this information, please check both your personal and Volt email accounts, including your spam folder. If you are still unable to locate the voting link, please contact us at help@volteuropa.org. Today, a short Q&A session will be held to address your questions. To ensure transparency in the selection of questions to be answered during the Q&A, we will review the questions in chronological order. To uphold gender balance, we will alternate gender between each question, and question addressed if there is a clear connection between the presentation and the inquiry directed to the speaker. You may submit your questions preferably through the Google form.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Mels, welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to be with you here all. So, today I'm addressing you here from Border Belt. It's a community event where different nationalities meet and spend a good time together. Not to make difficult policies or tax or infrastructure, but just to spend a good time together, to get to know each other. Look around. Volt started as a necessity for change. But change needs more than a driver. It needs an engine. And in that way, I see the party and the community working together. We often see politicians as the bringer of change. However, it's actually the collective engagement of the community. Because at Volt, we have great politicians. But most importantly, we have community of people with shared values. Think of all the people organizing events like this. People writing our policies, our tech team creating the possibility to work together, the community organizing, weaving us together, communications expert projecting our ideas to the wider public, our city leads organizing and managing the different things coming our way, and the treasurers keeping a watchful eye on our expenses. Well, I could go on and on. I'm proud of all the achievements because of all this commitment and hard work of all of you. But I also want to stay critical to our development, because after all, life is not a Disney movie. We have taken a Herculean task to create this amazing European party. But integrating all these different communities from different national perspectives will need continued attention. And sometimes we are too focused on the day-to-day things. We come together from different countries with different cultures, language, and political systems. Those factors influence our perspective and colors our opinions. Evolving Volt, our shared identity and vision out of our diversity, needs more moments like these. Moments like these here. So, my message, it's not only about the endless campaign that are ahead of us. So this week I was in Groningen and I was in Amsterdam. We re-elected our new lists for the municipality elections for next week's. The actual enabler of change is the community that we are building. So we have one very big moment coming up, and that is the GA in November, our European General Assembly in November. If you really want to see the change that we can reach with the community, then please come there. The abstract idea of creating this becomes reality. So get your tickets now and be aware, we're selling out fast, so please be the first one to get the tickets. Continuing on this, we are also right now creating a shared future in many other countries. One of them is Hungary, and it's a difficult situation there. And while I am here on the border with Germany and the Netherlands, Francesca is there together with our MEPs and MPs, standing together for the rights of the LGBTQ community. Our community gives us the strength to stand up for these things. So let's wish them all good luck and strength from all of us, and give them all the power for the solidarity that our continent and our community needs. Thank you very much, and ciao, ciao.
Thank you very much, Mels. Very great to see the crowd. And our solidarity, like you said, goes to Hungary, where Francesca is. And I believe we will connect to Francesca now. And I would like to, before we do that, I would like to confirm the opening of General Assembly at 12:11.
So while we wait for Francesca to connect with us from Budapest, we have some other important news regarding LGBTQIA+ rights, which is that Volt Italia is currently running a campaign to have a referendum in our country to reach equal marriage rights, because same-sex couples don't have that yet. Same-sex couples can only get a civil union that does not guarantee the same rights as a civil marriage. That's why we encourage all Italian members and all members of Volta Europa to invite their Italian friends to look for Referendum Uguali and sign for the petition. We have to reach 500,000 signatures by the 3rd of August.
So while we are waiting for the arrival of Francesca, I want to remind everybody these days, we have got also elections coming up in Czechia. We have got elections coming up next year in Cyprus. And recently I have met a beautiful group of people from across Europe in the mountains of Spain. And I can tell to my Czechia friends that there are so many people out there who are looking out there for you. And also, as Alessia said, we've got Italian friends. Share the referendum link so that they can get the chance to vote. Invite them to sign them. Sorry. Okay. So, remind me, where were you, Elise, at the moment?
Currently in Paris, where there is actually also a Pride going on today. So I hope to be joining later, actually. But yeah, we clearly don't have the same stakes as in Hungary, for example. But we also have some threats, like everywhere. So it's still important for us to be there, and there will be a Volt France delegation present there. Shout out to Anne who organized this in Paris. And as every year we always put a bit more purple in the rainbow shirts of the Pride in Paris. But yeah, I see that I think a lot of Volters are all across Europe today, and in the streets especially.
Indeed, today there's also the Pride March in Milan, Italy, and our team is joining as well with an official delegation. And also there we will be collecting signatures for the referendum.
Amazing.
So we can say that this GA as a trade union, that's the LGBTQIA plus rights.
The Rainbow GA.
The Rainbow GA. We're going to remember it as such.
And make sure you drink water. It's very hot out there. And I can tell you, confirm that in Cyprus at the moment, it's around 38, 39 degrees. We are having a very big heat wave, a continuous heat wave, to be honest. So it really is becoming very clear. The climate is fast changing, and in our region in Southern Europe, we are really seeing the effect, the impacts of it a lot more enhanced, unfortunately. So everybody take care of yourselves. Let's run through quickly of the agenda. What we are going to do next is we will have Francesca soon, and we will be having our lovely Rodula Dimitriadi on the stage to confirm her role as a non-executive board member of Volt Europa. And then we will be discussing the annual accounts will be presented to us from our accounts team. We will be then moving on to the presentation of the internal audit report. We will be talking about the strategy update, the Shine 29. And of course, reminding you that you are always welcome to send your questions through the form that you have received in your emails at any time. You can also send them out on YouTube. Our friends in the background are going to be collecting them and then guiding them to us, to our speakers to answer them. And we will then be talking about improvements to the governing documents. There will be also a session on structuring our teams. And we will be talking about the EO Handbook. And finally, and today is the launch day of our Volt Europa European-wide communication tool, Halo. Therefore, it's one of the most exciting days where we will be taking the next step in our organization. Then we are going to have our tools that is going to guide us for the next period. So let's go ahead with Alessia. I believe you will take it on.
Yes, thank you so much, Lucy, for running through the agenda. As Lucy mentioned, now we have to move on with the first agenda item, which is the appointment of Rodula as non-executive board member. According to the Articles 14 and 15 of our statutes, when a member of the board of directors steps down, they can either be replaced by direct appointment or the position can remain vacant until the next election. But the first option is usually preferred, so the board may appoint and appointed a replacement directly. This was because on the 1st of October 2024, Emma Bacci, former non-executive board member, formally announced that she would be stepping down from her position. And that's when the board decided to replace her with Rodula Dimitriadis as a non-executive board member on the 11th of November 2024. This vote is to formally approve Rodula's appointment until the next General Assembly in 2026 as a non-executive board member. Do we have Rodula now? Hi, Rodula, nice to see you.
Hi. Hello, Walters. Hello, Europe. Many of you already know me, but for those who don't, let me introduce myself. I have been one of the first Cypriot members to join Volt in 2021, and I am proud to have played an active and decisive role in shaping and achieving the strategic alliance between the Cyprus political movement and Volt Europa. This culminated into the creation of a fully fledged political party at the end of 2023. At Volt Cyprus's inaugural Congress, I was elected to its executive board with a clear mission to build and enhance the relationship between Volt Europa and Volt Cyprus. I'm not a professional politician. I see myself more of as a thinking citizen. I am worried about our future and the future of our children, just like most of you here today. You may be aware of Cyprus's long-standing division. My political involvement is rooted in the overwhelming disappointment and the powerlessness I have felt as a citizen and as a mother when the bicommunal talks collapsed in 2017. I decided then and there to do everything in my power to rid ourselves of the worn-out, gloomy system that crushes people's hopes and delivers nothing but struggles. The status quo that hinders a solution, poisons society, limits our European identity, and delays the reform of our economy. Today, unfortunately, more and more of you know too well what I am talking about. War and fascism are spreading uncontrollably around us. But every day, more and more of you get involved. You share and pursue the values of peace, safety, economic prosperity for all, democracy, human rights, equality, inclusion, diversity, and citizen empowerment. Since November 2024, I have the distinct honor of actively serving these values as a non-executive member of the European Board. My focus is the development of our movement in the countries of Southeast Europe, while also helping to shape Volt Europa into a real Euro party eligible for EU funding. Another important focus is the creation of a European political foundation, a think tank, that will aim for the democratic renewal of Europe and help transform it into a united federation with a common defense, economy, and foreign policy. Volt believes in the power of a united Europe, and we practice it. That's what sets us apart from other political parties. We communicate daily with active citizens all over Europe and witness how much we share the same concerns, values, and aspirations. This way, we build trust, strengthen our European identity, and grow into true friends, allies on a European level. Volt operates autonomously in each country, but all Volt chapters, we are bound by our shared values within European and act local. Today, Volt Europa is at a critical transition phase. For the past 7 years, our challenge was to spread Volt's vision across Europe, build local chapters, raise awareness, establish Volt as the pan-European political movement that is here to stay. Today's challenge is to evolve from an assortment of national chapters primarily engulfed in their national agendas and local political landscapes to a truly unified and strong Euro party with one common European agenda. I fully embrace the role Volt Europa must play in order to transpose the European agenda to each and every national chapter agenda. We need to practice the European federal model, which we so strongly advocate. Can we unite as chapters, much like we would like to see European countries united in a federal Europe? Can we create and maintain a strong European leadership and voice? To succeed, we need to strengthen our European identity, our European vision, and our European strategy through all national chapters until we reach each and every individual citizen and member. We need to spread out and grow roots deep in every country, in the small, in the big, from the periphery to the heart of Europe. We can do this. Me being here today and the story of Vault Cyprus are a testament of this promise. United, we are a force to be reckoned with. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Rodula. It's really honoring to start this journey with you from Cyprus, and I'm so glad to be continuing this journey with you in Europe together. And now, the vote to approve Rodula Demetriadis as non-executive board member has been opened exactly at 12:26 and will close tomorrow at 7 p.m. Rodula, thank you so much. And I would like to now invite to the stage our co-president, Francesca Romana D'Antono.
Hello, hello, everyone. So good to be here with you. I had a bit of an hectic morning, but now I am sitting down in a beautiful cafe in Budapest with our Hungarian leader, which I would like to, yes. The reason why I'm taking this call in such an unusual place is because, as you might know, I am in Budapest with a delegation of Vaulters. We're marching today at the Pride Parade to support Hungarian voices, to stand for the rule of law and for their rights. So it is very cool to take this call from here. A big thanks to Alessia, Hulusi, Elise, Arne, and everybody who's on stage, but most of all to our Rodula, which I have the honor of not introducing because you already talked, Rodula, but I wanted to walk all of you a little bit through the reasoning of the board for appointing Rodula and to ask you this appointment today. So as you might know, one board member, Emma Bacci, left her role earlier this year. She left, her reasoning on workplace. Emma has been a fantastic member of the board. I know her since my very first days involved, and I have the utmost respect for her. But life is life. This happens, and then we found ourselves in the position of understanding, okay, what do we do now? As you might know, there are different options that the board can do when a board member resigns. One of those is appointing someone, and that's why we decided to appoint Rodula. Now, I also met Rodula when she joined. As you know, she's from Vault Cyprus, which is one of our most successful chapters. People from Vault Cyprus always say, it's a small chapter. No, not true. If you compare it to the size of the island, it's not at all a small chapter, but it's also home to some of the best activists that we have, I think, and two of them are in this call, so I'm very excited. I worked with Rodula for the longest time on building Vault Cyprus. We went through very cool times and empowering times, and also very bad times when things seemed that they were not working out and we needed to find ways. And Rodula was someone who was really standing straight and standing up for what Vault means, not as in Vault because of Vault, but what kind of tool Vault is to overcome our division. So we thought of her because of all the cool things we know she achieved, and because she had been a candidate for the board. So yeah, it just did make sense. I hope you will confirm this appointment. Democracy is democracy, so really things are in your hands now. But I am sure if you get to know her, you will have no doubt. So am I opening the vote, Hulusi, or am I just explaining a little bit? Then fantastic. All right, that's it from my end. It was very cool to be here. Sorry for the chaos, but I hope you can understand why. And today I'm bringing all of you on the Pride Parade together with me. The idea that we have such a cool community behind us makes me really feel stronger. So thank you, everybody, and have a fantastic GA.
Thank you so much, Francesca. Please send our solidarity to our Hungarian friends, and please do this for us, shout for us as well. Great. Elise?
So we will now go on the point you've all been waiting for, which is the presentation of the 2024 annual accounts. So according to section 3.2 of the internal regulations, the treasurer, so who is Christophe, will present the annual accounts to the GA for approval. So in line with the statutes, the board prepares the annual accounts for the previous financial year and submits them to the General Assembly for approval, along with a request to discharge the board from liability for the policy pursued during that year. So that's why during this GA, you will be asked to vote to first approve the 2024 annual accounts, and second, approve the discharge of the board for 2024. So I will now let Christophe talk. I think he just joined us. So the floor is yours, Christophe.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome everyone on the GA, and of course this is the digital GA where we always have a couple of legal items and financial items to think of, right? So this year as well, we have the annual accounts presentation that needs to happen. This is actually the main reason why we're doing this GA this time, because we need to do it according to the Articles of Association. We need to do it before the second half of the year, so we're just in time. Today, a quick presentation. Just a couple of topics. So first, the external auditor's opinion. As you know, we every year we do a external auditor research of our books or of our accounting. I'm going to do a quick run through of the annual accounts and also give you a quick update on how the first half year of 2025 has been looking. And after that, happy to open the floor for any questions that you might have. Normally, you also have received the annual accounts in the email with the invite of the GA, so that hopefully has given you some time to go over the material and see if there's any questions. I understand that they are in Dutch. We're discussing that with the accountant, that maybe next year we can publish them in English, which would make it more easy for more of the members to understand it. So on the external auditor's opinion, this is the second year of the 3-year mandate with Boost auditors. And again, we've received an unqualified opinion of the auditors, which basically means that in their research, they haven't found anything wrong with our books, and that our statements, as they are made up by our accountant, provide a fair representation of the funds and financial position of the association. There was, however, one point that they mentioned, which was more on the payroll and social security, that we could improve on, and that is something we are currently examining and make sure that with a new setup, hopefully we're going to try and bring all the payroll together in one provider, that this point can be solved quite easily. It's not a material point, by the way, otherwise the auditor would not have given us an unqualified opinion. On the annual accounts for 2024, basically, if we look at our balance sheet has shrunk quite a bit versus last year. One, of course, is the debtors that you can see moved from 136,000 to 11,000. This is predominantly basically invoices that we send out in 2023 that were outstanding by the end of 2023, and then the money came in on 2024, right? And this was then mostly the Netherlands, the membership fee income from the Netherlands that was invoiced in 2023, for which the money we received only in 2024. And then, of course, some other smaller chapters, also their income. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything really spectacular on the receivables. cash and cash equivalent, you see that we went from 530,000 euros to 452,000. This was expected. As we all remember, 2024 was the year of elections, the European elections, and we already budgeted back in the beginning of 2024 that this year we would decrease our cash reserves to support the elections, right? To build out a team and support the elections. And I think I'm actually very happy that we've been able, through good cost management, we've been able to decrease the cash outflow to around 75K, which is not that bad given that it's an election year. So that means that we are at the end of 2024, and I'll come back on 2025 where we are now. But at the end of 2024, we see that we still have a very good cash reserve. And with that cash reserve, we can actually pay most of the outstanding debts, and we still have quite a runway to go. On the liability side, so you see again, the balance sheet has shrunk quite a bit. Trade creditors, I think last year in 2023, the 67,000 trade creditors was mostly berries that we still needed to receive. Whereas in 2024, of course, we did our GA in Tirana, which was a bit cheaper. And therefore, you see that the invoices to be received and the supplies to be paid is mostly Tirana. It is much lower than in 2023. Again, I think no other really spectacular things on the balance sheet. Our balance sheet is very clean. We don't have any fixed assets. We don't do any capex investments. Basically, we pay everything in OPEX, so it makes it very, very clean to administer. Now, if we're looking at our profit and loss for 2024, the first thing, of course, you will notice is that the revenue declined quite a bit. As we remember, in 2023, we received a very large donation from the Dreamery Foundation, on top of the other high net worth individuals that have supported us for the European elections. So in the run-up to the European elections in the second half of 2023, we received a lot of donations. And then, of course, in the first half of 2024, we still received some donations. But then afterwards, in the second half year, you see that the donations sort of return to a normal level, what we have seen before the election year, right? So again, I think with 714,000 euros, we are roughly at what we budgeted in the base case for the income. The operational charges, as I mentioned before, they are higher than the revenue, right? And so we did make a loss for 2024. But again, this was an expected loss, right? So this was the expected loss for the election year. And you see that the operational charges, even though in 2023 they were even higher, so we still ended up with a loss. Now, the people that remember our presentation before also remember that it was always the idea that the Dreamery Foundation would make a second large donation, right? And so in January 2024, we had to, when we understood that this donation would not come in, we had to right-size the budget. And we've done that. And I think you clearly see that in the second half year of 2024, we sort of we looked really at our cost base and we tried to decrease the services and other goods as much as possible. And so where you see in 2023 that there was quite a buildup in services and other goods, 641,000 euros, we ended the year in 2024 with 446,000 euros. Again, I think this is really good cost management from the whole team. Unfortunately, we had to let go of some team members as well, some freelancers. And it allowed us, basically, that cost management allowed us to confine the operational loss for the year to only 157,000 euros. The employment costs are in line with last year, and this is mostly the core team. As you know, the core team is hired on employment contracts, whereas some other people that have joined previously in 2024 as expansion manager have left now, and some other people that have joined now are often hired on a freelance contract because it creates a bit of flexibility for the organization. So if we're looking at the core team, we see that the remuneration has not really changed a lot. To give a bit more detail on the services and other goods. So where do we spend the money if we're not spending it on people? One is rent. Rent is mostly the offices that we rent. So Volt Europe has an agreement with Volt Netherlands where we hire a desk at the office in Volt Netherlands to make it comfortable for the co-president, for Mels mostly, to go to the office sometime. Also, Tetske, one of our general secretaries, goes to the office sometimes. So we rent a space at Volt Netherlands. Also, Tirana is in there, so the hiring of the cost of the Tirana. Then we have a large cost, a large line item, which is commissions paid and fees. This is mostly composed of commissions for donations. So when you all make a donation through Stripe or Lunda or any other platform that we have, there are, of course, transaction costs. Those transactions costs are accounted for as a commission. We have a lot of fees, advisor fees, accounting fees, legal fees, which is roughly 40K. And then in 2024, as I mentioned, we had quite some freelancers. So the amount of freelancers in total was around 63,000 euros. And that is all in those commissions and fees, which is a large line item. Another large line item is representation and travel cost. And again, here you see the effect that we had for the election year, right? So in 2023, when we started to build up to the election year, there was a lot more travel cost. That travel cost then continued in the first half year of 2024. But in the second half of 2024, we really tried to scrutinize that budget and make sure that we decrease the overall travel cost. And I think also here, the travel costs are more or less in line with what we expected in the budget. On the miscellaneous, again, we've tried to to comprise the cost a bit and make sure that we spend every euro wisely. 200,000 is still a lot of money, but most of it is actually in our software and IT, which is accounted for more than 80,000 euros. And the second large line item in this miscellaneous is basically everything which is marketing cost. Again, I think there are two items here. We hired a marketing agency for the European elections, which was quite expensive. And then the second one was that we, of course, carried the cost of the signature collection for iStep in Slovakia on the accounts of Volt Europe. Why we could do that? Because Volt Slovakia was still not a registered party. And I think around 40 to 45,000 euros was for that collection in Slovakia. Of course, Slovakia fundraised for that themselves, so it was just running over our books. I think that is the key items basically next to, of course, the employment costs that we have, which are roughly also 450,000 euros. Which makes our total cost base around 800 to 850,000 euros. And again, I think if you look at 2025, we'll be even able to decrease that a bit more as we are now not in an election year. So the cost savings that we've implemented in the second half year of 2024 will now sort of continue to a normalized level. And that then will also be making sure that in the budget we have a good budget for next year. Now, what is happening in 2025? We're 2 days short of mid-year. One, I think it's always prudent to look at our cash balance. This is the main factor on which we manage the organization. If you look at 2024, where we ended it, it was 453,000 euros. That is basically also what you see in this cell for 2024 cash and cash equivalents. And if you look at the same calculation today, we're at 482,000. I think there's a bit of a seasonality effect there because we've launched the ticket sales for the GA in Frankfurt in the November. And so we have seen quite a bit of an increase in the last couple of months or the last couple of months in ticket sales. But overall, I think, and this is also then shown on the picture on the right, that our total liquidity over the year has basically stayed around that 500K level. And I think that with around, I think we have around the cost base of around 50K per month, which basically means that we can cover the next 10 months of cost. Now, if you look at the operating income that we had, I think what we've seen a good inflow of funds. That is the blue pillar here on the left in January and again in May. In January is because of a high net worth individual that has donated quite some funds in January, where we're very happy with. And in May, because the membership fee income that we didn't distribute last year, we reinstated that. And so basically in May, Germany paid the first installment of the membership fee, which shows then again quite a high influx. Looking at the cost base, so the operating income, you see there's a bit of seasonality effect there as well, depending on when we pay the wages. But in general, you can see that we're around 50 to 60,000 euros per month. And this is then also, again, looking at our cost categories, you see that most of the costs we spend in employees and in IT and software and admin expenses. So I think that doesn't change. The real cost categories don't change. And we are having quite a stable, good year, which, of course, as a CFO, I very much like. I think that is it from my side. As a vote, we will ask you to vote the approval of the annual accounts. We will ask you to approve the discharge of the board for the year of 2024. And then with that, I'm happy to open up the floor for any questions.
Christoph, thank you so much for all the information. Wonderful work. I'm going to be honest, you lost me with numbers, but I have full confidence in everything that you are doing. So, Alessia, did you say we have questions or?
Yes, we do have a few questions incoming. So I'll proceed to read them. They're both addressed to Christoph. Again, Christoph, thank you for your detailed presentation. So we have a question that is, how much does the service of Bose and Veru cost annually, and how were they selected as the service provider?
So basically, they were selected on a recommendation of our accounting firm. So as you remember, in the previous accounting firm, where we still insourced the accounting, which means that we were, up until 2 years ago, we were doing the accounting ourselves. And when we did the accounting ourselves, we selected Van de la Notte as our auditor. Then 2 years ago, we changed that setup. We outsourced the accounting to Van de la Notte because the accounting became much more complex due to the growth of the organization. And then we selected, based on their recommendation, Boos as a Belgian auditor. And we voted, then we presented the proposal to hire Boos for a 3-year period, which is a normal legal period in Belgium to hire an auditor. On the GA, I think 2 years ago, I think it was Paris or the one before that. So that's when the GA approved the appointment of Boos as our auditor for the next 3 years. We're now in the 2nd year. I think it's not that expensive because it's a very short review. It's not a fully extensive auditory revision of the accounts. I think we're paying roughly, including VAT, 3,000, 3,500.
Thank you, Christoph. We have another question that I would say it's more like a suggestion for the next report. It is, should we split up these miscellaneous costs in the report, as it is one of the biggest parts, the one that is named miscellaneous costs, and not just explain them verbally at the GA? So if it's the possibility to have it written down for the next years.
Oh, that's absolutely no problem. The information is actually in the report that you've received, right? It's only for presentation purposes that we've collapsed the information, but the information and the line items are visible in the report that you have received together with the invitation of the GA.
Thank you. And as we understand that document was not sent in English, it was sent in Dutch. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that's something that we've also looked back to the auditor to say that we prefer that to have it in English.
Perfect, thank you. We have time for one last question, which is, aren't normal banking services for donation cheaper than services like Stripe or PayPal?
I think you need to make a division between payment providers, Stripe, PayPal. They are quite cheap, but they are different than the fees we pay for the banks, right? So the bank charges are also in a different line item. Let me quickly go back to here. So the bank charges are actually in the financial expenses, right? Whereas the commissions are in the operating costs. What we see is that two things is one, that Stripe and PayPal are still quite expensive. But on top of that, because we have a fundraising service, most of the fundraising services actually charge a percentage of the donations, which is around 10%, which results then in the fact that we have quite a high commission base.
That's great. Thank you so much, Christoph, for clarifying all these questions and providing us with the information. I will now just go back to the voting detail. You need to remember that you are now asked to vote on 2 points in this instance. Number one is the approval of the 2024 annual accounts. So do you approve the 2024 annual report? And number two is discharge of the board of directors. So do you approve the discharge of the board of directors from their liability for the policy pursued during the financial year of 2024? So for each item, you can say yes, no, or you can abstain. And also another reminder, voting tokens should be received by every member who has been a member for more than 30 days. If you have not received your token, please write an email and contact help@vaulteuropa.org. Another reminder, this voting was open 12:48 for the annual accounts. However, for the previous voting for the approval of Rodula Demetriadis' non-executive board member status, the vote was, we had a technical issue with the first vote, so the voting was reopened again at 12:43. If you tried to vote and you were not successful, this was the reason. And if you managed to vote, please go back and vote again for Rodula's confirmation. Now, and on the next item on the agenda is the presentation of the internal audit report for 2024 and the election of the internal audit committee members. I would like to welcome on the stage. Thank you so much, Christoph. I would like to now welcome on stage Johan, who will be presenting the report for the internal audit. While Johan is getting ready, because of the time, because of the technical issues, if there's anyone out there among you who would like to join the technical team to help them out, we will be more than very happy. As I mentioned also at the beginning of the assembly, these days we are having very hot weather, so make sure you drink water and keep refreshing your pages because clearly technology also is being impacted by the hot weather. I don't know what else I can say and connect this technical issues, but sometimes this is hey-ho, what happens. I will just check with the team.
We can explain a bit what the internal audit committee is. So like it's the internal auditing body for Vault Europa to ensure that the internal financial governance and processes taken by all of Vault Europa organs comply with the internal regulations and the code of conduct. So there are many tasks that their members have, so they can assess the financial governance and like in the internal regulations and the code of conduct, they can identify financial risks that could, for example, hamper Volt from achieving its goals. They can alert the board and leaders about the risks, and they can perform internal audits of financial governance. So yeah, that's mainly it. So you will hear about Johan in a bit. He's trying to connect.
They're doing amazing job, by the way. So next to our external auditors that only check the financials, the internal auditors check also some other operational risks and review legal items, etc. They're looking for new team members. I think this is the last time that Johan and Benjamin, unfortunately, will be presenting the internal audit. And so I would love it if other people would become a candidate and try to get elected as internal audit committee.
Yeah, so exactly. So actually, two of the members in the internal audit committee have been elected for a period of 3 years at the May 22 annual General Assembly. So that one of them was Johan von Kraus from Volt Greece and Benjamin van der Kwaak from Volt Netherlands. And the third member, Leonardo Peppel, was elected in November 2024, who is with us in the team still. The term for Johan and Benjamin will end at this GA. So therefore, we have 2 vacancies but we currently have 1 application, meaning that 1 new audit committee member will be elected this weekend. And the final place, the second place, will be filled at the end of year General Assembly. We will be talking to Antoni later, but in the meantime, I just want to check the latest situation with Johan to welcome him. As there's no change, but maybe Christoph, would you how do you work with the internal auditors? Is it like a daily thing? What should people expect if they are to join the team?
I think, again, every team we have is subject to an evolution as the organization keeps evolving. In the past, basically, the focus of the internal audit committee was once a year, once we delivered the annual accounts, that they also do start the review together with the external auditor, that they also do the internal audit at the same time, and looking at what the external audit does, double check that, and then also look at the other areas of expertise that they're looking into. So it is more once a year, a sort of a 3-month alignment. That was previously. You see that again, they do much more now. And basically, if you look at the internal audit charter that we have, they also work with the national teams to make sure that they do basically an internal audit on the national teams to make sure that the internal rules and regulations that they have at the national level, that the articles of association on the national level, that the decision-taking processes in the national level are up to par what we would expect from the organization.
Okay.
So depending on how much flexibility and time that the people that want to apply have, this can be a very exciting role with a lot of depth and a lot of tentacles in the organization, which I think is very interesting.
Maybe also, what are the personal competences that you recommend people applying having, so that they know if they have the requirements?
I think the minimum requirements is project management, is some financial understanding of financial figures, understanding of accounting systems and things like that. Preferably, they would have experience as an auditor. That would be, of course, the most amazing thing. And it can be an external auditor or an internal auditor. Think Big Four background kind of thing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So while Johan is coming, we have actually got, as I mentioned, one application currently for the internal audit team, who is Antoni Arbona. I would like to welcome him quickly onto the stage so he can also introduce himself, and so you get to know him a little bit before we open the vote for this election as well. Antoni.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. So, well, I am just going to introduce myself for a moment. My name is Antoni, or Tony Arbona. I joined Volt Spain last year, so I'm relatively new. I'm Spanish from Mallorca. I'm 52, married with 3 kids. So regarding my job, I'm a public officer at the University of the Balearic Islands in the Department of Economy. What's the reason why I joined the Volt? Well, I was 14 years old when Spain joined the European Union in 1996. But it was not even called that by then. But I still remember I thought of it as something natural and necessary. And since then, I have frankly been frustrated at how slow the integration is advancing. For one thing, I think Spain is a better country today as a result of its integration into the European Union. And I think some of the problems that we have today would be better addressed with more Europe rather than less Europe. And I think that the same idea is valid across much of the continent. But that's one thing. But also, I think scale is of great relevance today. Our financial markets, for instance, are inefficient because we have 27 of them. Our innovation and venture capital ecosystems are inefficient because we have 27 of them. And our defense is inefficient because we replicate certain capabilities 27 times. And unfortunately, the world is a harsh place today. We had for a time the luxury of forgetting that, maybe for 30 years. But I think that we cannot ignore for much longer that united Europe is the only way to preserve our way of life and our principles that are very well represented at Volt. I actually had never been in a political party. I never saw these ideas I just mentioned reflected in the Spanish political system. When we had European elections, I was frankly amazed that all the debate was always about national issues and not about European challenges. And another thing that amazed me was that there were no cross-border parties. Everything was on a national perspective. But these cross-border parties, to me, are very necessary. We're serious about political integration. And then I discovered Volt 9 months ago, and I applied immediately, so I can contribute my little bit. That's why I joined Volt. And why the internal audit committee? Well, I just joined Volt because I felt the need to do something for the integration of Europe besides voting. I mean, so essentially, how can you complain if you don't do anything? So, but the question is what to do. I'm not a frontman. I'm not the kind of person who can talk to strangers on the street or address big audiences. I'm more of a backstage guy. So, and frankly, I don't have much free time. You know, the job, the kids, the house, the gym. I know you relate. When I was appointed to this position in the internal audit committee with an estimated dedication of about 2 hours a week and in a back office position, which, as I said, matches more my personality. And when I can probably use my professional abilities, it sounded as the most straightforward way to help Volt and help the European integration project. And what experience do I bring to the role? Well, at the University of the Balearic Islands, I'm the head of a unit which is in charge of the budget and the treasury of the university. And also we financially manage the externally funded institutional projects, which are those projects which are not research projects. We currently manage about 50 million euros in external funds, including European regional funds and next generation funds. Our role in this unit includes internally auditing the expenses in these projects, authorize actually those expenses. We check the eligibility according to the rules. And we also prepare the financial statements for the funding bodies. So I've been doing this for 15 years at the university. So I think I can apply all this knowledge to this position in Volt. I'm not yet, frankly, familiar with the rules and regulations that apply to political parties and Volt in particular, but I expect it won't take much effort to get a grasp on it. And so, well, I'm excited that you give me this opportunity to contribute my little bit to this common project. So thank you very much.
Anthony, thank you so much for introducing yourself to us and everybody. Well, what I can say is that none of us have been politicians previous in our lives, and whenever we also hear from people about their comments about Volt, they're rather confused because it's very novel to them as well. But when they hear and understand when we explain it to them, they quickly grasp the essence of it, and they understand it. And I would like to welcome you to Volt, and good luck with your election. And we will soon hear from the results on Friday. And I would like to thank you for now. And what I would like to say is that the vote to elect the new member of the Internal Audit Committee has been opened as of 1:07, and we will close tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Maybe just to let you all know that the voting tool is down again, according to our technical team. So we're very sorry about this. We're working on fixing the system. So please be patient, and you'll have a message to communicate about the tool working again when it will be fixed. Sorry again for this.
Thank you very much for the release. We will confirm with you once the system is back up. And so we believe Johan's internet is also having some summer hot situation issues. So we will be moving to the next item on the agenda for the time being. And we will be talking about the strategy update by the strategy team. So please, may I have, they will be updating us, Sebastian will be updating us on the strategic initiatives. So please welcome Sebastian.
So you may remember that our strategy Shine 29 was presented at the last end of the year GA in Tirana in November. And basically, we're going to hear from our team on the updates to the strategy, how we are proceeding so far, and how we can move towards 2029, so the next European elections, shining the most that we can.
It's strategy for 2024-2029 that is crafted and built upon the strategic foundation led in our previous strategy cycle, while serving as a clear roadmap for the next 5 years. So yeah, it's I think we have Sebastian now, so he will give you more info on this. Sebastian, please have the floor.
Thank you so much. I hope you can see my presentation this time. The last time we had some issues.
Perfectly.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for giving us the opportunity today to provide an update on Shine 29. And well, as you can see, the word is already working. I think we have beautiful summer days almost everywhere. So I hope you can all enjoy it. So let's talk about Shine 29, our plan for success for the upcoming years. It's the plan that will guide us in the years to come and help us unlock Volt's full potential. Today we have 15 minutes together, and I would like to use this time to ensure that all of us are aligned, but of course also inspired to follow this plan. We know that Volt has experienced incredible growth during the last weeks, months, but of course, especially during the last year. Many new members have joined our organization, which is really fantastic. And also from my side, hello and welcome everyone. And we now have the perfect opportunity to ensure that everyone is also included in our core processes and ensure that we all have a shared understanding of where we are heading. So it's really essential that everyone, old and new, shares a common understanding of our foundation. So what we'll do today, first, I will recap the most important elements of our strategy. And then I will hand over to Janko, who will provide you with an update on the biggest successes that we have already achieved this year, who will give a brief progress update on our priorities for the second half, and also will give you an overview about our new Volt update package that we want to have ready by the November GA in Frankfurt. So let's start by looking at our strategy foundation. It's really essential to remember that this is the framework that we all agreed on. This is the foundation that all of us are building on, and it's really important that all of us stay connected to those core parts. At the heart of our strategy is our Utopia, the vision of the society we want to create. We are working towards a united federal Europe where everyone has equal chances to fulfill their unique potential. Together, we strive to achieve the highest standards of human, social, environmental, and technological development. Our organizational vision is very simple, but really powerful. Volt leads by example to foster a united and federal Europe. Our mission always reminds us why we exist. Only a Europe that acts together can solve our shared challenges. And our identity. Our identity is what brings all of us together. We are European. We are pragmatic. We are progressive. We are innovative. And we are sustainable. So we also have our call to action that should motivate all of us and should also drive all of us forward. We empower people to change politics and unlock Europe's potential together. Let me say this again. It's really important that we all stay aligned with these core elements. They are the foundation on which we build. They are not optional. This is really what defines us and also what unites us across all countries. So let's move to our strategy staircase to get a little bit more concrete and really have a look at the outline, how we want to achieve our utopia. Step one, we need to become a Euro party. This is one of the biggest and most urgent projects right now. Step two, we want to participate in the European Parliament elections across all European countries. Step three, we aim to win at least 23 seats in the European Parliament so that we are able to form our own parliamentary group. Step four, we want to get national and local MPs in all member states to create real political impact. Step five, we want to build our united federal Europe. And then step six, we want to solve Europe's shared challenges together. To make all of this happen, we have created Shine 29. Shine 29 is our strategy for the years 2024 to 2029. The purpose behind that is quite clear. We want to empower and grow our community to maximize our impact. To achieve this, We are working within a structured strategic framework that is built on 3 strategic pillars and 12 concrete strategic actions. The sequence behind that is quite simple. This year, we are focusing on enable. Next year, we will switch to create for the next 2 years. And then in 28 and 29, we will focus on delivering real impact. This year, our 4 most important strategic actions are strengthening the coordination between Volt Europa and its chapters, working on our Europarty registration, securing funding that matches our ambition, and building a community-focused IT infrastructure for all of our chapters. Looking ahead to next year, we will switch to create. And here we will focus on developing and updating a political strategy and launch a new policy process. We'll build a thriving, diverse, and pan-European community. We'll strengthen our internal development, and we will also make sure that we have visible European leaders who can represent Volt across all of our European countries. And then in 28, we will switch to impact. Here, we will further expand our organizational presence across Europe. We will build effective Europe-wide communication. We'll compete in elections. And of course, we will focus on our EP election in 29. And finally, we want to achieve real policy impact. So of course, we are already working on many of these topics in parallel. But what is very important, we are trying to clearly focus on enable and the 4 strategic actions that are connected to this. And with this, I would now like to hand over to Janko, who will walk you through our biggest successes this year, where we stand in terms of progress and what we will focus on in the second half, as well as outlining our Volt update package that we want to have ready by the Frankfurt GA. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Sebastian, for reminding us how we got to this strategy and what it is about. Here, I will, on the one hand, I will look back, and at the other hand, as Sebastian has told you, I will look forward. So since we passed the strategy, which is half a year ago, we started to basically implementing it. A lot of different projects and things are already on their way in parallel. And you will see a lot more about this very soon. But we already have some, I think, very tangible successes that we can be proud about. The first one, and of course, there's always room for improvement, but we followed our strategy in what we said. We will strengthen Volt structurally by hiring excellent people for communication and fundraising. We have done that, and I think our external presence has improved notably. As you know, we are also working on a communication strategy. That means there's a lot more room for improvement, especially together with the chapters and elected officials. But this notable uptick in external presence is something that we can already, that has already registered, and where I see that we are on a good way. The second success, and I hope it will in fact turn out to be a great success, is that we have managed to start a process to go to a new European Union-based internal communication platform for Volt. This is something that for a long time we knew was the right thing to do, to move away from US big tech and to go to a European-based internal platform that has advantages over what Workplace is today. One big advantage is that Hilo will be accessible even without the Volt email through the single sign-on technology. And this is a huge advantage because it will allow many of our members who are not comfortable, who are not able to deal with the Volt email addresses, it will allow them to access our internal platform. And also without using the Google technology. And that is a huge step forward. Maybe it sounds mundane, but I think this is really a step in the right direction. Thirdly, for our strategy to work, we need continuous, robust member growth. This is also something that we have seen. We have grown from approximately 25,000 to now 33,000. That is incredible growth. And we hope we can continue this path and also see a broad member growth in our focus chapters. Now I will go a little bit more into detail on the 4 pillars that we have in Enable. What has happened and what will happen. On the coordination between Volt Europa and its chapters, we have built the Chapter Relations Office, which is up and running, especially focusing a lot on the eponymous focus chapters. We have written clearer chapter rules, which are currently discussed and will be passed at the Frankfurt GA. And we have updated our integrity syllabus to have clearer rules for all our members and elected officials. What will happen in the second half of the quarter is that we will focus on, as I already mentioned, very important communication strategy. And this cannot be separated from the political strategy. So these two together with the chapters, this will be a priority item for the second half of this year. And we hope that we will have that already in place at the Frankfurt GA. We will also work on the revision of vision and mission. So this is what Sebastian has presented before. It's very good, but we have to think broader and deeper about what is our political goal, our political path, what we want to achieve. And lastly, and that is what I will show you later, we have a whole package of internal reforms that hopefully will be adopted in Frankfurt. And if we can adopt those, we will have a very much improved Volt Europa, a very much improved internal organization. On the Euro Party, well, we've reviewed the requirements actually many times. We pass all the requirements except the very important one on the elected officials. To change that, we need to activate our focus chapters and we need to network with other parties than elected officials. There are considerable efforts ongoing in this field that you will hear more about very soon. I think there were already some communications. These issues are always delicate, so I'm not going to tell you a lot of details, but believe me, there are very good things that are going on in this regard. So we will continue to do exactly that in the second half of 2025. On funding, as I mentioned, we have hired 2 excellent fundraising staff. We have set up a chapter fundraising team that focuses specifically for fundraising to the chapters, especially smaller chapters, focus chapters. And we have in place a task force that looks at the financing of Volt Europa, looking at the membership fee and how we do fundraising between the chapters and Volt Europa. This is going very well, and we hope that we can present a very good proposal in Frankfurt. Lastly, IT infrastructure. I already mentioned high-low and single sign-on. That is a great success. Also, our team has continuously updated Volt Team in terms of permission structures, which is very necessary, and we have a very good team in place now that is able to do that. And there we're really working towards more and more a digital integrated European space that all our members can use and access to do policy, to be integrated as a community. Lastly, I already mentioned that there is a big package underway of reforms that will hopefully culminate to be presented at the Frankfurt GA. This will be a great opportunity, a GA with many members, where we finally be able in the second year of our mandates to say, okay, these are the crucial reforms that we will pass for our organization. This includes the clear rules that are already being discussed in terms of internal regulation and statute updates. This includes as well the ambition to have a more democratic General Assembly where members can bring their own motions and have the right to debate what we vote on. This is very important. This is a very important priority for us. This includes the reform of our integrity rules to be more efficient and so we can act quicker on integrity cases. This includes a new financing structure, which will add great value and be much more efficient than what we have now. At this point, we will have the communication strategy and political strategy in place, as well as hopefully the revision of vision and mission. And we will also have, and this is also under discussion right now, a new policy process. We hope that we can present this package to you in Frankfurt, we can have an honest and detailed debate about all of these issues. How can we make our party more democratic? And if we do it in the right way, this will add immense value to what we're trying to do. Finally, that's no finally slide, but finally, I want to call you to, if you are interested in volunteering to make this a reality, we need help in two crucial initiatives. The first one is the events team, which is a volunteer team that is nevertheless crucial because events is one of the ways that we can bring Europeans together and where you can meet people across borders, where you can do policy together, where you can discuss face to face. This is what we want to do much more. And this is why we need a very powerful events team. The second is community. We want to strengthen the European onboarding component of our onboarding processes. Here as well, there is a team and volunteers are needed. So if you want to join that, that would be much welcome. These are really crucial elements of our strategy and they rely currently on volunteers. So if you want to put your hands, get your hands dirty, those are the places to do so. For the events, if you are interested in joining, you can contact, for example, George Penn. On the community side, you could, for example, contact Rosalie Debeus, both excellent people, excellent Walters that make a lot of things happen. Yeah, and that's it. I hope that was informative. If you have any questions, we will also post on Workplace. We're, as always, happy to debate and discuss, but we see a lot of good things moving forward, and we hope that this will also continue to go that way. Very good, and see you soon, latest at the Frankfurt GA. And I yield back to whatever is the next agenda point. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sebastian and Janko. And I think your presentation interested a lot of voters because we received a lot of questions already. So I will start with one from Poland. Isn't reaching out for local elections, for example, to local councillors, potentially counterproductive? Any mismanagement on that end will be used against the entire EU party, whereas focusing on regional, national, EU elections could better focus our efforts. Do you have any answer to give to that question?
I'm not sure I understand the question exactly right. So it's about, should we focus on local election or not?
No, so they think that maybe reaching out for local elections could be counterproductive instead on focusing on rather like regional, national, and EU elections. For example, they say that if there's any mismanagement on the local elections targeting, that could be counterproductive, basically.
Okay. All I can say is it depends on the situation, right? You can have local elections where it's extremely strategic, they're extremely useful. For example, in Germany, without local elections, we would have exactly 0 elected officials. So I think their local elections are very important. And in many countries, it's also necessary and common to stand in broader alliances. So their networking and reaching out is not an issue. However, it's a case-by-case thing, right? I mean, if you, as I say, if you mismanage it, you create damage. Yes, that's true for everything. And so you have to be strategic. And this is also something we wrote in the strategy, that we will be strategic in the elections that we focus on. Obviously, we will still not forbid local teams that really, really want to do something, but our focus is on strategic elections. I hope I got the question wrong. Right. But if anything, the person from Poland is very welcome to just message us directly and we can discuss on that point.
Thank you so much. So I think we can move on to the next question, which is how flexible is this roadmap? If we don't reach parts of this early on time, what happens if we don't get the 23 seats? What is a plan B, if there is any, or if you have any other plan that is more flexible?
Yeah, so in general, what is very important, this document and this whole plan is, of course, not completely set in stone, right? So we will also have some periods probably next year where we'll also have a look at Shine 29 and its elements, whether we need to adjust parts. But right now, the plan is quite clear regarding the roadmap that was mentioned, and also here with the 23 MEPs. This is not something that we are setting in stone for 2029. So when we talk about our strategy staircase, this is really our long-term plan. So regarding our goal setting for the next EP election, this is something that we will work on during the next year. So it's very important to just keep those parts separate and keep in mind that the strategy staircase is our long-term path.
Thank you so much. We then have another question, which is how flexible, no, sorry, that has been asked already. We want Europe to speak with one voice, and then we don't have a process to manage this ourselves as a party. How about the name of our utopia or political positioning on foreign policy or European issues? Is there something planned how to achieve a democratic and still reasonably fast way to align on those kind of issues that includes not only the big chapters and MEPs?
Yes, this is a very good and relevant question. My hope on this issue that we identified as well as a strategic issue is the 5 and 6 here, that we have together with the chapters, we have a clear communication strategy, like what are the important topics, how do we make sure that what you mentioned does not happen. And that's why I also said it is inseparable from a political strategy, where you have to decide, okay, on which issues do we need to have agreement? And you mentioned, I think, 2, where sometimes there's no agreement and it creates damage. That's why these 2 items are so important, and we really want to have them in place soon, especially on communications, that we have a clear plan and don't only decide on the day itself, oh, we have to communicate on this now. That's really relevant, but there's some kind of long-term idea behind our communication plan, political idea.
So thank you again. We have a more procedural question, which is what are the thresholds to register as a Euro party?
I think we can skip we should skip this question. I can happy to answer it to this person directly, but you can very easily look it up on the internet. I don't want to be rude, but if there are other questions that are more about the strategy, I'm happy to tell that person that directly.
Yeah. We have another question from France, which is to build new national chapters and strengthening small chapters. Will Volt Europa ask nationals living abroad, for example, Lithuanians in Germany, to help build small chapters?
We are already trying to do that. This is not always very easy. I think we've seen this in several campaigns where we try to target nationals for 2 reasons. You have to find them, identify them, and then this diaspora has to be very motivated. For Bulgaria, for example, or Romania, we tried, I think, that several times, has to be very motivated to be active in their own country, where, of course, if you live abroad, you're always at a slight disadvantage of participating politically. That doesn't mean that it's not a good idea to try this for elections or to find people. But ideally, of course, we want to have very well-working chapters on the ground where the politics happens. That doesn't mean, and this is not the Volt idea, that you exclude people that live abroad, or the opposite. But I feel like to include them, it's very necessary to have the local structure to be well established. Yeah.
This is why it's maybe also important to just look at our expansion strategy in general again, where we have the approach now, where we have our focus chapters. So it's of course really important that we understand what kind of resources we have on a European level and how we can best also use it to really drive our expansion strategies here. So what the main goal is, of course, to focus on our focus chapters. And this is, of course, then a tool to also drive that.
Thank you so much. As we anticipated, we have a lot of questions regarding the strategy, but unfortunately, we're quite running out of time, so we won't be able to take any more questions. But don't forget that you can send emails to our general secretaries, and they can provide you with a written answer to all of your remaining questions.
We're also happy if we get a list of all the questions to do a Q&A post on Workplace, and then we can also very quickly write what the thresholds are for the Euro party. Happy to do that, of course. We will post on Workplace anyway a summary of what we have presented here.
That's a very great idea, Janko. Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. So we have got Johan back online, and we will jump back on the agenda and go back to the internal audit presentation. So please, welcome, Johan.
Hi.
All good?
Yes, hello.
Hello. Please take it away. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we had a little technical problem, so Laura is going to do the presentation and I will just do the talking. The report is on the financial year 2024 for the Internal Audit Commission, which is a separate thing from the external auditors that Christoph was talking about. And the last report was 2023. We are always kind of 1 year behind. So for the next slide, what will be the outline of our presentation? It will be what activities did we do since the last GA? What did we do to prepare the audit for 2024? What did we find and what do we feel that we have to recommend? Next slide. The activities since the last report. First thing we had to do was, and we're happy to do that, we were able to contribute to the phrasing, to the work on the procurement guideline, which is in place now, and we're very happy to see that on the way. Then to start off the work on the current report, we had to update our IAC chapter. That is a legal document which describes our duties and gives us legitimation what we do. We got a new member, Leonardo Pepe, at the Tirana General Assembly in November 2024, and since then, even before then, we started working on our new report. The next slide, new report, has the following outline. An update on the situation of Volt in general. But I'm not going to go into that here. We will follow up on what we had recommended in the report 2023. We will look a bit more closely at the statute alignment situations. We will, of course, look at financial operations from our point of view. And we have some findings and some recommendations. Next slide. So I'm starting with the follow-up on 2023. The points we mentioned last year are listed here. The first one was imbalance between small and big chapters. This situation is actually getting more drastic still. At the moment, I think we have more than 80% of the legal members of Volt Europa coming from just 2 chapters, Netherlands and Germany. And while that, of course, is great to have all these members, in terms of democracy in the General Assembly, it could be a problem because these 2 chapters can, in principle, decide what they want, and all the other 30 or so, 28 chapters, they wouldn't have any say in anything if worst came to worst. That's what we think is a problem, because small chapters should also have the feeling that their word counts in some way. No, it wasn't possible to do anything much on this issue yet. We hope it will continue. The alignment and cohesion situation, we mentioned last year that the statutes of the chapters are not in all aspects aligned with Volt Europa, and we also had a feeling that cohesion could be better. So we had a statute review. We will look at that later, and we were happy to learn that the General Secretary's office is working on a collaboration project with the country council to increase cohesion between chapters and Volt Europa. Topic big data. For now, I can just say that we are happy that HILO is going online today. The other topics, of course, remain, but the world cannot be reinvented in one day, so there's a lot of work coming in the future. Paid staff increases. Christoph mentioned in his presentation that the amount of money that was available for paying staff has not really changed a lot. That is true. On the other hand, we said that it would be important to have some new paid appointments, because that would help the amazing work that all the volunteers are doing. And so we are happy that at least 2 new appointments were possible within the limited budget. Member onboarding procedures, we were a bit worried that the situation is kind of weird. Members get onboarded by country chapters, and Volt Europa has no say in that in principle. Those country chapters do that as they think it is best to do it. And these members are then automatically also members of the association Volt Europa, which is kind of weird because this association has never had any say in that. There has been no consistent action on that as far as we see. The only thing that is a bit reassuring is that in the meantime, two-factor authorization has been introduced for everybody who logs into his Volt Europa account. So even if people get access to the Volt infosphere in some questionable way, they will still have to authenticate themselves in order to actually do something. We said last year we need something to professionalize procurement, and as I said already, the new guidelines are in place. We said last year, please do some cost accounting. It was not possible to implement cost accounting for the 2025 budget, but Christoph said that for 2026, there will be something in place to make sure that cost accounting does take place. We saw that this is really a problem, because when we tried to find out what the member management system really cost Volt Europa until the end of 2024, it was extremely difficult to find out. Okay, next slide. Statutes. We were able to study 21 statutes from different chapters. The first thing we looked at was internal auditing. Do they have internal auditing implemented in their statutes? 14 statutes have that, meaning 7 don't. And not all these auditors, all these auditing bodies are really independent auditors that are only responsible to the respective General Assembly. So we have questions whether these are really fully credible internal auditors who should at least fulfill these 2 criteria. It is not very reassuring to mention that only 2 chapters actually have internal audit commissions legally in place, and that even these 2, Netherlands and Germany, don't have internal audit commissions which are currently working. As far as we know, the Netherlands said that they were not able to find candidates for the commission, and in Germany, the last commission resigned. For the general statute situation, we think that mostly the statutes are pretty well aligned to what we have in Volt Europa. We found that nowhere, not in the European, but not in any other chapter, is there a commitment to GDPR, to data protection implanted in the statute, and I think we think it would be a good idea to have that. What we also found is that most of the country chapters have rules for the selection of candidates for public elections. Volt Europa doesn't select such candidates, so they don't have any rules for that. But this is a topic which needs more attention. We think we have learned that in 2 or 3 chapters over the last 1 year, 1.5 years, there were problems with the perception of democracy and the selection of candidates for elections. A question to end this part was asked by a number of chapters, isn't it possible that we can outsource some of our obligations, like integrity, like GDPR, like internal auditing, to the European level, which is obviously in a better position to help with this kind of thing? From my point of view, I cannot answer anything to that. That is up to the board to decide to what extent this can be given to the chapters. Next page. This is a list of topics that are not mentioned in all the chapters, only in some of them. And this is not completely satisfactory situation, but maybe it has to be expected to some extent. I would just point out 2 at the moment while you read the others. Not all chapters have the requirement for diversity or gender equality established in the statute for all leadership roles and all bodies. I think that should be improved and could be improved easily. And one thing that we missed in some chapters was the pledge to donation transparency, which is very important at the European level, and it should also be important for all national levels to be fully transparent when regards donations. I will not get into the other points now and go to the next slide. Financial operations. We looked at donations and we found everything is reported perfectly well, and we do not see any reason to have doubts that Volt is being compromised by donators in the sense that they ask Volt to do them some political favor in order to get the donation. There were no such things visible. Actually, those donations were so small that that wouldn't be possible anyway. The financial review, Christoph mentioned that before, the revenues dropped by 48%, and the expenditures also had to be reduced appropriately. As Christoph mentioned, Volt is still a healthy enterprise, if you want, still has sufficient equity reserves to take care of all its obligation. A reminder to implement cost accounting is also part of the financial review. Regarding budget reporting, that is a situation that Volt Europa has a very clever way to have flexible budgeting. That is, as the income increases, the expenses can also increase. And what we were looking for was transparency on this. When does who decide what regarding, now we can move to the next level in terms of the budget, and how is this communicated to the members? Because we think that it would be interesting for the members to know where Volt Europa stands in terms of budget, in terms of finance. Next slide. The procurement process, I mentioned before that the member management system project was some concern for us, simply because it was the biggest investment which Volt had implemented so far. And the contract was signed in May 2023, and it's still not functional after more than 2 years. So this definitely is not a very good situation. We saw that this is in part due to the fact that the contract which was signed was not ideal for an organization like Volt. A contract which would have been a turnkey contract, which says we get this project, and when it's handed over to us, it's going to work. You turn the key and it's going to work, and then we will pay the final invoice. That would have been ideal, but this contract was not that kind of contract. This contract was only that Ixiam was going to provide a certain number of manpower hours to set up the system and hopefully get it working. But as I mentioned, it is still not working. In spite of that, because they had input all their manpower hours, they sent the final invoice, and the final invoice was paid. It was a bit difficult to find out if the delivery was really completed before the final invoice was paid. And this points to a little problem, actually not so small, that is with big payments like this. And I mean, in total, that was 25,000 euros in 2024. There should be a 6I principle. That is, one person is the user, and he says, I got the product, I've tested the product, and the product complies to my requirements and does what it's supposed to do. And then there's supposed to be the second person who says, does the bill and the description of the user comply with the contract and the invoice? And only if these two confirmations exist, then a third person should be authorizing the payment. And
that was have 5 minutes remaining before we move on to the next agenda point.
Okay, I'll be nearly there. Regarding back transactions, that was no concern at all. We had access to everything and we found nothing dubious. Next slide, the recommendations. We continue the request to address the internal imbalance issue. One idea would be to implement the country council as a really democratic decision chamber. That is what is done in some federally organized countries. It's only a suggestion. We also propose to continue following up on the statute situation and the procedural alignment situation between chapters and European level. There are some topics that would merit a bit closer attention. And of course, the question, to what extent can the European level help the smaller chapters with internal auditing, GDPR, or integrity? Third recommendation, improve budget and financial transparency. I spoke about that already. Find a way to let the members know on what budget are we actually working at the moment, and how is the budget situation going on. That would be helpful for, I think, for many members who feel responsibility for Volt Europa. And fourth point, and that is the strongest recommendation actually, we need robust procedures when we are dealing with large contracts. We need legal auditing, we need contract management, we need cost accounting, we need the 6I principle. And that would be a very strong recommendation from our side to try and make progress on that issue. That brings me to the last slide. The conclusions are as usual, very happy. We found no big problems, no evidence of wrongful use of funds. Again, we can express our huge respect for the workloads that the operational teams and anybody else who has supported us has been inputting into this into their work. The report accurately reflects our audit findings and our recommendations. And with this, Benjamin van der Kwak and Johan Willem van Krause are signing off as internal auditors. We have been elected for 3 years. The 3 years are over now. So we hand over to Leonardo, who will continue, and to anybody else who gets elected to work in the Internal Audit Commission. I want to say thank you to Volt Europa for all the support we got. And I want to say that I have learned a lot about Volt Europa, and Volt Europa has gotten a lot more dearer to me with the responsibility that I was able to feel over the past 3 years. Thank you very much.
Dear Johan, we also would like to take the opportunity to thank you for all your diligent work the past 3 years. And it's been really valuable to have this insight and your experience input. And the presentation that you have provided and the full report, just to let everybody know that they will be published online for anyone who wants to review it. I think it's very useful for all the chapters to go through it and see what they can implement in their own structures and what they should be doing as they grow forward. So, Elise, thank you so much once again, Johan.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you again, Johan. And I think we already have Tetske and Joachim. So Tetske, who is our General Secretary, and Joachim, who is our legal team lead, who will be talking about how far we've come with the work on improving our governance. So a very strong topic too. Thank you so much to you too, and I leave you the floor.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to join this annual digital GA. Super excited. I'm sorry everyone is dealing with all the technological issues, but I'm sure that will be fine. I'm going to be sharing my screen. So let me just. We hope that that's working. So I can pull up my presentation. Let's see. I'm hoping you guys can see this now. Yeah, all good. Okay, thank you. Luckily, like it's 31 degrees here in Lisbon, but my systems are not crashing yet. So let's hope the whole presentation will go well. Right, so we're going to talk about our plans to update our governing documents. We already had a presentation in the last GA live in Tirana, which was so much fun. And during that presentation, we also spoke about like the updates to our internal regulations, the updates to our integrity syllabus. And as you know, we are focused on keeping improving our governing documents because we want our foundations to be strong. Janko earlier in his presentation already touched upon a few topics that we're working on. Joachim and I will dive into deep, but we won't go too deep because we only have like 10-15 minutes. So we'll keep it short and crisp. If you have any questions, reach out to us, and you can always just review the presentation that we have. There's a lot of words in here. I'll try to keep it short. So I wanted to just quickly talk you through like what is our foundation? What are our governing documents? We have our statutes. These are like the key documents, but with all our super important rules on how our organization is structured, how we elect people, etc. Then the internal regulations are the document like below that, and that's where we basically explain all the rules that are in the statutes and just go a little bit more into detail. What is also a really important part of our governing documents is the integrity syllabus. The integrity syllabus is the document that we use to explain how we treat each other and what our values are. And of course, our values are a part of our entire system, but we wanted to embody them in one place in the integrity syllabus. So let's dive into deep. Jochem will be speaking about some of the changes, and I'll come back later. Jochem.
Thank you so much, Tetske. And I am the co-lead of the legal and governance team. And I will start with the first 3 items, and then Tetske will take over again. I think the most challenging and also the most exciting governmental change we are preparing is the setting up of Euro party governance, which is actually creating presumably a complete new political party around, above, beneath, and besides of Volt Europa. Not that we don't want to integrate Volt Europa into that Euro party, but it's much easier to set up something new than try to transform the current system into something which fits within the requirements of the European Union. Secondly, on the next slide, we are looking for a more open and democratic General Assembly. Of course, we could all participate in this online meeting, unless all the technical hassles. But it's more or less a one-direction show. People are presenting, and it's not really a dialogue. But especially during the physical GAs, we want to make it more more open and broad. And therefore, we have 2 projects. The first one is to allow each and every member of Volt to really vote. And currently, we have actually 2 levels of members of chapters based within the European Union and members of chapters outside of the European Union. And they're not treated equally. Only people member of a Volt association within Europe, within the European Union, have all the rights to vote and to participate. And formerly, people from Volt Switzerland, Volt UK, Volt Albania, Volt Ukraine could only participate by saying something, but don't have voting rights. So we want to make it easy and equal for each and everyone to participate in Volt. And secondly, we want to get rid of the most cumbersome requirements from the General Assembly, so people could actually influence policy making at a General Assembly instead of just having to sit and listen. So hopefully already in Frankfurt we could see the first steps of those 2 trajectories. And lastly, I think, is it your turn already, Tetske, or is it my last slide? I had to.
No, this is your last slide. Go ahead, George. Jochem.
So, and lastly, the legal team, the governance team, is trying to work together with the country council, with many people within the Volt movement, to actually set up a more clear set of rules. What do we expect from a chapter, and what do we expect from Volt Europa? Johan touched up it a little bit in his presentation already. Some chapters have organized things in a particular way. Some have organized it differently. And when we want to be one strong association, it's really important that we have a basic framework which would be feasible for everyone, but also a groundwork where people could say, this is what we could expect from each other. That's good.
Thank you so much, Jochem. And maybe to add, like this project collaboration, as we now dubbed it, was started back in 2022 already, I believe. So this has been like a long-standing wish of our members to create a better set of rules to collaborate with between the chapters and Volt Europa. And we, the legal team, have now picked up this project, this MOU project again, and have dubbed it Project Collaboration. Right, so then to move on just shine some light on one of the other changes that we would like to make in our in the next update of the statutes and the internal regulations, is the membership of multiple chapters. So a while ago, again, like maybe it was in 2023, this project was started and approved actually by the board that a member would be able to be a member of multiple chapters, and some chapters already apply this, but this just hasn't made it into our governance documents yet. So we want to change that and look into how we can best include this. And we also want to look into whether and how to include the possibility of becoming a member of Volt Europa only, rather than just a chapter. Other changes include, for example, provision on how chapters can become a member association. At the moment, in our statutes, it says that you can become a member association if you fulfill certain criteria, but it doesn't actually explain the process. Like, what do you do? Do you send a letter to the board? How long will the board take to respond? And it's just good for chapters to have clarity on that. So we'd like to include that. We've also discussed with the current boards that it would be good to have a transitional period when boards change, because at the moment our entire board will change when they're up for election again. So that means if people are not re-elected, so that it can be that we have a completely new board, or a board with like 7 new board members or more or less, and it will be hard for them to get started. So the board has approved that there will be a month-long transitional period where the current board will guide the new board, and they can have like a proper handover. And I think that will be like a good change in order to set up the new boards for success in the future. We also are discussing some changes to clarify the election process for board members. At the moment, it's written down in yeah, it's pretty hard to understand maybe how it works, and we're trying to clarify it a little bit. Then we're also our documents still include some wording about being present when you're voting, and as we all know, like all our GAs are digital, and you're present, but you're not present at the GA in person. And of course, we have our in-person GAs in Frankfurt coming up, but also that, like, technically it's an electronic GA because you vote electronically. So that needs to be reflected in our documents a bit better. And whilst we're at it, as if we don't have enough projects going on as it is, we thought, why don't we just reread the entire internal regulations and see if we can make them easier to understand for everyone, because it's quite hard if you read through it. And we think it would be an improvement if we make it a little bit more straightforward. So that's what we're working on in the statutes and the internal regulations. Now we also have a task force set up that is working on updating our code of conduct. I don't know who was President Tirana, but we spoke there about the updates to our integrity syllabus. But at that time, we decided not to touch our code of conduct and set up a task force who would really dive into the code of conduct and really try to make it a bit give a bit more guidance to our members on what we expect from them in terms of behavior. For example, what does discrimination mean? What is hate speech? We feel like those topics could be clarified a bit more. So a task force has started end of 2024, and they're working on this now. Basically, they're talking to various stakeholders to see what can best be included. If anyone is interested in joining this task force, or any of has any input that they want to give, of course, feel free to reach out to the legal team, and we will connect you with the right people. Then lastly, real quick, we've now spoken about a lot of changes to our governance, but we also want to take a step back and look at the governance of our entire movement as a whole, and see if there's a chance of harmonizing that all. That would mean that we would create a structure where our organization, the European organization, and the organization or the governance of our chapters resemble each other, so that it's easier for members to also understand, okay, how does a chapter work and how does Volt Europa work? It all works the same. So we're looking into that, and one of the changes that it might bring is that, and this is also something that we're discussing with all the chapters and all the general secretaries across Europe right now, is that each chapter has at least certain functional teams, the same functional teams that Volt Europa has, and that these functional teams are connected to each other in a functional team network, so that they can share best practices and work together in a better way. So it won't only improve our governance, but also our collaboration across Europe. Right, again, if anything of this sparks your interest, or if we just spoke too quickly about everything and you just want to know more, please reach out to the legal team at volteuropa.org, and we will be happy, more than happy to answer all your questions, and also include you if you want to help on any of these topics. That was it. I think we zoomed through the presentation, so if anyone has questions, let's move to that, and otherwise, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tetske. We have just one question, and I can read that for you. It says, when a problem is raised by one chapter, shouldn't the task force be assembled with representatives from all chapters? I didn't see this specified in the document. Was this considered in the process? This is the question.
Okay, I'm not really sure which task force this refers to, but it is always very difficult to find volunteers for task force. So if we do set up a task force, we usually ask on Workplace and anywhere else, who wants to join. But we can't really force every chapter to put a delegate or a representative forward. What we do is every time we create a new proposal, we discuss it in a country council. And for example, now with the project collaboration, but also with all the other changes, we really I presented it in the country council, and all the chapters had the chance to put input, and now we're in a process of consultation. So we talked to all the chapters about it. So even though the chapters might not be fully involved in writing the proposal, their input is taken into consideration, and they always have a final say over it.
Great, thank you so much for this clarification. And if there's any more further questions, like we keep saying, please, you can always forward it to the General Secretary's office, and we always welcome your input for improvements. And thank you so much to both of you. I will now move on to the next item on the agenda regarding structuring our teams, rather relevant after this. Please welcome our beloved George to talk about the structure of the teams and how we optimize our team dynamics and to foster culture of collaboration and innovation.
Hello, everyone. I hope I'm not interrupting anything. My name is George. Many of you might know me. I'm one of the co-general secretaries. And today I'm going to basically be taking you through a couple of additional points to what Tetske was referring to about these governance changes, about bringing more Europe locally. And I'm going to be talking about a couple of quick fixes to the structure that we that we want to propose as a result of this. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm currently in the back room of all of the things that are happening regarding the GA, so just bear with me 1 second. It might take a little bit longer. So I'm just doing that right away. And then I will move to. So this is a document that we have worked on together as the General Secretary team with a number of the different, a couple of different stakeholders. This has come as a result of conversations that we've had from national General Secretaries with us, with functional teams, as well as with the board, and in between us as General Secretaries. And basically, it's proposing a couple of things, quick fixes to our structure. Currently, we see, and this has been a theme throughout the day's presentations, is that there is a lack of alignment across teams. And that means that chapters can be quite siloed and are often solving the same problem in a number of different ways. And what we need to make sure is that our desired state is to make sure that all chapters at the functional level, so an events team in Germany can align with events teams in Spain, but as well as with Volt Europa. So it's about setting up this structure properly. So this is the first tension that we're seeing. The second tension is about the value proposition. At Volt Europa, we have very limited resources. So we're still a predominantly volunteer-led organization, which makes it incredibly fulfilling, but it does mean that we have to be very careful with how we spend our times. So what we see is larger chapters need more transparency on what the membership fees that they're contributing is going towards. And for smaller chapters, we need better understanding of exactly what services at the European level that we provide locally. So this clear information flow is also included within this presentation. So let's first zoom in on one of these tensions. So this lack of alignment across teams. So right now, this is the Volt Europa organogram. So what we can see is that we have 3 executive board members who report to the European board, and then 3 general secretaries who are full-time, and then a couple of full-time employees that work for them in comms, tech, fundraising, and administrative assistants. These are full-time equivalents, so this means that they are, in some senses, filled by multiple people. Now, what we see with this structure, I mean, we can talk a long time about structure. Everyone has their opinion on org design, etc. But what we can see is that this is pretty complicated and not necessarily sustainable for us to ask of all chapters to build themselves. So in conversation with us as a general secretary, with the functional teams, what we came up with was a prioritization of what a national minimum viable structure would look like. So what are the minimum viable structures that all teams need to have, from our opinion? From our side, as you'll see, is you've got the European functional teams on the left-hand side who coordinate with their respective functional teams in the chapters, but they will still remain obviously managed by the national chapters. This is about creating alignment. It's not about, and breaking silos, it's not about taking over national chapters. So what we see is as follows. For core chapters, we see that community is the basic. We had one person in every chapter that's responsible for community. That's really important. Communications, we're a political organization. How we communicate, what we communicate externally is really important. Our events are our lifeblood of the organization. They're where people come to interact. And fundraising is how we create sustainability within the chapters from a long-term perspective. And policy, the same argument goes as communications. We're a political organization. It's important that we have both of these. So this is for all chapters. So this is even if for example, as the legal association, I don't know if we take one that doesn't exist yet, even if we don't exist as a legal association, then these would be things that teams that we'd want to align with on a regular basis, no matter what size. Now, with regards to core or legal associations, so as you know, in most European countries, well, in all European countries, you need to have some form of legal footprint in the country to be able to become a political party and an organization. What we see is that basically there are some slightly different responsibilities that we need to make sure that we have. We need to have someone in charge of operations, so the general secretary or the CEO. We need to have someone in charge of finance, because once you start handling money, you become accountable for this legally, but in a number of different ways. You need a legal person for the same reasons. A data protection officer, someone who is able to make sure that we are protecting the data correctly. An arbitration committee, electoral committee, and political spokesperson and PR lead. These are all things that we think for all legal associations, we need to have a contact person within the chapters to be able to develop this. And nice to haves on this side are, you can see in red on this right-hand side, they are still important to have, but again, they're usually competencies that can be found primarily at the European level, and therefore are not necessarily required locally as well. So the next steps with this is what we're going to do is we're going to ask all chapters to provide their leads to Volt Europa within these people. So we're going to between now and the end of the year make sure that we have a comprehensive list of people that are able to fulfill these roles. We'll also then by the end of the year have established regular alignment meetings across these teams. So for example, a European events team meeting on a regular basis, and then we'll have regular reminders for updating the leads. That's more of a to-do for me. It's a reminder for everyone to send to basically continuously update this list, because we know that the turnover can be quite high when it comes to local team, functional team dropout. So the question, essentially number 2, is what does the European level do for us? So we have 3 real federal bodies that provide support in different ways to national chapters. First of all, we have the European Board, and the European Board provides the vision and accountability. You can read a little bit more in the presentation later about this. The European General Secretary team, what we do is facilitate the pan-European operations, so we make sure that all of the teams and structures are working so that chapters can achieve their goals, and provide the support that's necessary in implementing strategy. So the CRO, the Country Relations Office, that's what that stands for, provides the support on the ground. And basically, this is more hands-on support. It's reactive. It's also proactive support. And the general idea is to set up local growth strategies in order to basically for chapters to grow from 1 member to 5,000 members, let's say. So what we found is that we need to refocus our resources. So our lacking capacity at the European level and different needs from different chapters of different sizes means that we need to provide different services to different chapters. And so what we've done is we've divided the chapters up in terms of development. There's a lot of work that's gone into the data collection around this. What we have is 4 kind of categories of chapters. So what we have, first of all, is an established chapter, focus chapters, developing chapters, and seed chapters. And this is really based on, again, as I said, data that we've provided, but also opportunity assessment. So to what extent is there an opportunity that we see worth pursuing within each one of the chapters? So this is how we've divided these chapters up. And what we've done, I'm not going to go through it all in this presentation because it's a lot of lines and a lot of ticks. But what we've done is work on a service matrix style offering. And what that means is basically for certain chapters, we'll be providing different services based on the size of the chapter. And we hope that this then creates better levels of transparency, and also expectation management, but also really brings more Europe locally, so that we can create this better coordination overall. So the next steps for this is basically what we'll do is we'll provide this information publicly on Halo for feedback. So you guys will know that we are going live with Halo at the end of this meeting. And we will work together with the country council to implement this, and also ensure that all chapters are aware of this. Any questions?
So as for now, we haven't received any. So oh wait, one just came in as we were talking.
Amazing.
So how should we create those teams? How many of them needs to be statutory? Is there any guideline or recommendation for the structure of each team? And is there any ready-made and translatable job description?
That's a really good question. So what we're in right now is like we've developed this kind of strategy, let's say, on how we're going to do this. One of the things that we're going to be working on as a result of this is guides. So guides on what it means to be a local community lead, for example, or what it means to be a local events lead. And one of the things that we can also then provide is some job descriptions on this side as well. So we will be working on this. We don't have it yet, and not in a comprehensive way, but it is part of the implementation strategy for us to have this.
Thank you so much, George. We don't have any other question, but we reiterate the invitation to everybody to send their questions in written form to you, the GSO, in case they have anything that pops to their mind a little bit later. Thank you so much for your presentation. We are preparing to move to the next agenda item, which is the handbook for the elected officials.
While we are waiting for Just to come in, I must say one thing I really love about having the GSO meetings. We have these monthly meetings where we discuss exactly all of this, and the information, the ideas that comes through from all these different teams across Europe. It's so refreshing, and this is something that is so valuable, I find. And thank you once again to George for arranging it for us. Hello, Just.
Hi, Just. Welcome on the stage.
Hello. Thank you.
So as anticipated, you should be introducing us to this handbook that will be provided to all of our elected officials. It mostly deals with how to behave and how to have the biggest impact possible. Just, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'll share my screen. Let's see. It goes well. Everybody sees my screen?
Absolutely.
Confirmed.
All right, good. Well, yeah, so I'm here to introduce the Volt Elected Officials Handbook and Elected Officials Code of Conduct that we are preparing all together, actually, with the Elected Officials Office, but with the entire organization as assistant, let's say. For everybody who doesn't know what the EOO or Elected Officials Office is, it's a European team with district coordinators in all the chapters where we also have local elected officials or national elected officials, consisting of already more than 15 people, if I'm correct. Yeah, I think so. Providing any kind of support that elected officials need across Europe, but also coordinating efforts to work together, etc., across Europe. And the idea of EO handbook and code of conduct came from the, let's say, the endless communication, the all never-ending communication. I mean, sorry, between all elected officials and us. Let's see. So why are we doing this? I've put a lot of text in my screen, also for people to read along. But we have, of course, rapidly grown the last couple of years, and especially in the Netherlands and Germany, we already have, and actually also in Italy, we already have quite some elected officials, especially on the ground, locally and also regionally in the Netherlands, for example. Of course, we also have some elected officials on a national scale and also in the European Parliament. As of last year, we actually multiplied that amount by 5. And then I think at the moment we are more than 200 across Europe. And this brings a lot of new responsibilities and challenges, of course, and therefore we also need more clear guidance and practical support for all the elected officials. And also for all voters, actually, in relationship to these elected officials. So as you could already see, we're developing 2 things, actually. So we're developing a handbook and we're developing a code of conduct. And this code of conduct already exists in some form in paragraph 2.5 of the current integrity syllabus of Volt Europa. So the work that we're doing on the EO code of conduct will be an update of that paragraph in the integrity syllabus. So it's not a separate document, it's part of the integrity syllabus. So what is the EO handbook? Well, we're working on something that in the end should provide non-binding behavioral guidelines and practical guidance for elected officials and general membership of Volt in relationship to these elected officials. And they should be based, of course, on Volt's core values and principles before and during a political mandate. And with before, we mean that the handbook should also already provide the information needed for candidates, for example, that want to become an elected official, so that they already know what they can expect from the organization and from each other. It should help to answer practical questions such as, who do elected officials contact for support or advice within Volt? And now we have the elected officials office, of course, but on the ground, there's also probably policy teams helping out, communication teams, maybe other people. And we want to clarify what is possible and maybe also in some kind of a scaling system, what you can achieve. How can elected officials collaborate with external organizations? Maybe this is something people are very good at, but maybe this is something people need some practical support with. So this is information that we want to provide. Another question could be, or like more general question, what do EOs expect from people within the organization or vice versa? We often see right now in Volt that it's not always clear, for example, on what communication teams can expect from our elected officials or what our elected officials can expect from our communications teams. We, of course, want to tackle whatever problems occur now and find some practical solutions to prevent them in the future. And we want to see what tensions exist and how we can resolve them. Then the EO Code of Conduct. So the Code of Conduct is more of a real binding document or binding part of the integrity syllabus, which is mostly about stuff like transparency, integrity, and accountability. And these are going to be very strict rules. So therefore, it's also very important that everybody agrees on them. And as it is part of the integrity syllabus, we will definitely also have to vote on them eventually during a GA. That should then answer critical questions like, what responsibilities do EOs have in general, but also to the organization? What behavior do we expect from elected officials? How do we think elected officials should act in unclear or challenging situations? And how do elected officials build trust and accountability, for example? So how are we going to do this? Well, we of course already did some work on this during the last GA in Tirana. For the people who have joined the session there, we did a general session on the work we were doing. We had an elected official summit also in Tirana, where the people that were there were already discussing these kind of questions. So that is already input provided, but now we want to involve the whole organization for the final steps, let's say. And that means that we want to make sure that the stuff that we create reflects diverse experience, needs, and realities. And we hope that by engaging everyone in their respective communities, it could be local communities, it could be communities of functional teams, for example, policy communities, could be thematic communities that we just started on the pan-European scale, or the diversity communities, to discuss these important topics and provide the input to the process in developing both of the documents. And to support the process, we have two teams. Need a shout out to Bas, one of our team members, who who figured out the really funny name Heat. It's going to be a very hot summer, I think, with the Handbook editorial and analytical team. And that's the team that will analyze all the input that comes in from the communities and further draft the documents. And then we want to still search for people for an oversight body that actually should oversee the work by the Handbook editorial and analytical team to make sure that the process is transparent, inclusive, and of high quality. So this is the rough timeline. Well, not so rough, actually. It's very precise. So we start with one phase, and that's actually the phase that we announced on Workplace this week with community deliberations. And that should end on the 17th of August. I'm going to refer to the post on Workplace that contains all the information needed for people to self-host or join a community deliberation, because they are entirely done by communities themselves. Then we have 4 more phases with drafting, another community reflection, and a last draft or synthesis, of course, before the drafting, before we go to the final phase during the GA in November in Frankfurt, where we want to approve both documents in probably different ways, because the handbook is a less legal binding document, of course, whilst the code of conduct will be part of the integrity syllabus. So during this phase 1, we created a toolbox, very comprehensive, and it should assist in organizing the deliberation sessions. So we provided people with all the questions that they could ask to each other and provide input on, but also guidelines for moderation, how to organize sessions, etc., and a clear guideline on how to provide the input to the heat. So now the final call to action. So we want you to hopefully host or join a community deliberation and or apply to the heat or the OB. And to do so, you can reach out to heat.eoo@volteuropa.org. And I'm now going to share the link if I can. I hope so. Yes, I think I can put it in the chat. So this is the Volteuropa post that contains all the information. So please go to the post and find all the stuff needed with all the links. I'm also aiming at providing this information in another newsletter somewhere in the upcoming days, so that everybody receives information, also the people that haven't seen the workplace post and are not watching at this GA. And any questions can be directed to me now or via email to heat.eo@volteuropa.org. That was it for now.
Thank you so much, Joost. I believe we haven't received any question right now, but we will forward you some if we get some later. So thank you again.
All right.
Yeah, and now I think we are waiting for Thomas to go on to the next agenda point, which is the Halo update, a movement that a lot of Volters have been waiting for, apart from Federal Europe, of course. We're working on it too. So yeah, if we can get Thomas in the room with us. So for those who don't know, Halo is the new platform which is going to replace our good old workplace, to Meta. So he will guide you through this new tool because it has been a while since We haven't changed such a big tool that vaulters use on an everyday basis. So yeah, Thomas will arrive shortly.
Now, the reason why we're changing it is double. We actually have a double necessity, as has been already explained in Workplace. One is that Workplace is shutting down, so Meta won't provide the service anymore. But on the other end, we are also trying to move away from non-European based platforms as much as possible. Now we see that Thomas is here.
Welcome, Thomas. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We just introduced you, so now you're ready to take the floor.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's it exactly. This is happening. We are. It's our new communication tool is here. We are getting rid of Meta. We gain our strategic digital independence from Meta. And we replace Workplace by a European company, by a European tool. So let me just share my screen to have, I've prepared some beautiful Halo. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Halo is live. So basically,
yes.
Thank you for the hype. So basically, you just have to go to this vault.halo.app, so HAIILO.app. I think you can just post it in a chat. Yes. And that's it. You'll be able to access, and it's already starting now. So just to maybe give you a little bit of guidance for starters, because it might be a bit tricky when you don't know it. I have to share my incognito window. This one. So you'll be getting here. You'll be getting on that on that level. So vault.halo.app is here. And you'll be greeted, but there's this you don't need to worry about, and you have to click on Connect with Vault Auth. Okay, it's our new authentication thing that we've built specifically for that. So you have to click here, and when you are here, you will be needing to put your email address. So if you do have a Vault Europa email address, you can put it here. That's fine. It will be this one. If you don't have a Vault Europa email address, it will be the email address that you receive your newsletter with, like the email address that you have configured everywhere in Vault. It will be this one. It will be working because we have synchronized also those ones. Okay. So just put your Vault email address or whatever email you need, and you click on connection, and that's where it's not tricky. But I mean, you have to know it. You just have to click on forgotten password. So you'll be here, forgotten password. And then you will be on this window and you just click continue, and then it will send you an email. You will reset your password. It will enable to multiple factor authentication because we wanted to have something really secure, and you'll be in. So feel free to do it now, to do it alongside me. I'm going to speed run a little bit through the platform, just show you around so that you are aware of what's going on. So I think it must be this window again. Am I sharing? I am sharing, yes. So you'll be going here. That's the homepage of Halo. On the top, the big news will be here, a big banner. On the left side, the list of other countries. If something is not done for your specific countries or it's not completely ready, it will come really soon. And then a couple of links that are important and the events. So that's how it looks like. We wanted to have a homepage that is really simple, like not have too many bells and whistles on the homepage, something like everybody can just get right away. And also about accessibility, something that would work with any kind of devices. And then on the top, you can navigate a little bit more. So on Infoboard, I'm just going to explain the difference between Infoboards and hubs. Basically, Infoboards is everything that is either a country or a big region. So we have all of the countries here. So you can filter actually here by country. So here you have only those countries. or you can also filter by region, and that will be only German or a region from the Netherlands, because those are the biggest. So when you have a board and it's an official region, etc. All right, and then all the rest is on the hubs. So then you have everything, and we did the icons. So when it's red, it's an icon for an election. It's a hub for an election, and you can just join them here. And that's it. You have a lot of hubs. We already have 10 pages of hubs, communities, like you see finance. This is DE because it's sorted by alphabetical order, but yeah, we have a lot of stuff. And then you have events. So events, this is not for weekly events. For weekly events, you should continue to use your calendar, but it works very well for a big event. A lot of people are using it. And then I'm not going to spend too much time because it's a social network. If you have any question, we have guidance. We have, I'll show you how to access the guidance, but basically you can access the login of people, follow people. This is a launchpad. So here you can configure your own link. What we wanted to do is also, if you want this to be your Vault homepage, you can also do that. So you can select which links you would like to have, remove from favorite or add from favorite. And when you do that, and you can add your own, by the way, you can just add your own links, and then you will have a launchpad to be able to access important links. And here you have your notifications, your profile. We encourage you to put a profile picture. And here on the help button, so it's on your profile, you have the help button. You will directly access the technical center, and this is where you have everything related to help create a ticket. And on the left, you have guides and FAQs. All of the hubs will be like that. There will be the navigation on the left, and on the middle, you will have the content. It will always be the same look and feel. There's all the guides of every tool that we have, basically, or if not all, it will come. And on the Halo side, you can also check, and just to show you a feature. So for example, when you click on this is a wiki, you click on the content here. On the top right, the guide is also translated to German. So that's manual translation. So you can also just switch here. And in terms of translation, I also wanted to show you, for example, automatic translation that we have. Let's take Ghent, like this, speak here in not English, and I have it configured in English. So when I click on translate here, it's on the same place. It translates to English like in Workplace. So that's it for the feature. You have the chat. It works well. Workplace chat was slightly better, but I mean I use it a lot, as you see, so it's fine. And that's it. So in Vault, obviously you'll be working on your local page. Hopefully you have a local hub if you want use tasks and stuff like that to you work with your local team. You'll have your regional hub or infoboard. You'll have your country infoboard, and we also have a kind of a second homepage, and that's the European infoboard, where you'll also find a lot of links, a lot of announcements, a lot of events. It's a bit of our second homepage since we have so many things in Halo that are at the European level. And here you'll find announcements from the board, etc. A lot of stuff are here. Diversity, thematic communities are here. Diversity communities are here. And you can just follow the links. Instead, in Workplace, we had everything in baseline. You had to use a search every time you needed to find something. Here, we wanted to make a lot of links and make it very easy to navigate. So if you want to join, you click, and then you need to request access because this one is a safe space, essentially. And that's it. We also have the Europa Hub, which we need to link a bit better, but it will be where you find your European discussions, of course, introductions, and discussion by languages, because we have the same for Dutch and for Dutch. All right, so that's a bit all of it. And I wanted to finish by the Community Hub. Yeah, it's been hundreds of volunteers to make it happen. So this is a Community Hub where you have a lot of, you have the ability to request a new hub name to the platform. You have a lot of stuff here related to Halo, so I'm going a bit quickly here because I don't think it's necessary that I spend time here. You can suggest a new name for the platform. You can suggest if there is a translation issue, etc. All of it is here. There's also more documentation. Okay. But yes, it's been hundreds of volunteers to make it happen. Like great adventure. We started basically in September. It's been like there is an honor like to have been working alongside all of you, the volunteers, if you recognize yourself. And the number of volunteers was too high to put in a slide. So in order to commemorate that a little bit, I also did here the list of volunteers. So as you saw, from SSO to we had an intern for the project. We did pilots. We had German onboarding. We have look and feel. They did the homepage. We had Netherlands onboarding. We had European onboarding. We have onboarding of the volunteers because we have so many volunteers. We needed a team specific to onboard them, etc., etc. This is stakeholder to choose, and we have a second page with the TTO, the sponsors, the town and gardening, the help desks, the look and feel teams. This is so many people. They are here, and Vera, who will stay with us at the European level to onboard and to work with us, and continue with the community hub and yeah. So I have a lot of feelings right now, and but I'm going to stop here, and that's I appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much, Thomas, and thank you so much actually to all of the people that worked on this major project of shifting to Halo. And maybe since we are approaching the end, we can actually make a virtual applause to all of the people who work in the behind the scenes for this GA and on a daily basis to make this party run. Because we are giants because we are all around Europe, but at the same time we're still kind of an emerging party. So there's literally a lot of efforts coming from so many people who make all of these things possible every day. So now I have the pleasure of yielding the floor to Lucille one last time for the closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Alessia. I will join you in congratulating everybody because we have a massive team around with the support of everyone. We couldn't have managed this all together. We are very beautiful, the team. In regards to closing, I would like to say a few things. What we are doing across Europe is a massive, massive job, and we should all be proud of ourselves. And I urge everybody in your teams to actually appreciate and acknowledge everyone around you for the work that they're doing on a daily basis, because we are all volunteers. We are all learning as we are going along. We are all compromising from our personal time, our family time, our jobs, and everything. So this is something that we need to sometimes really appreciate each other, and that goes a long way. So what we did today on a Saturday like this has been absolutely a privilege for our team and Alessia, Elise, and the rest of the team. Collaboration and igniting engagement. This is something we need to take on and move with it. What we did today, we have started the voting process for appointment of a non-executive director. We have talked through strategy, we have talked through the structure, we have talked through the tools that we can use. The Halo project is now launched, something for us that's very essential to what we are doing, to communicate, to create the communities around us for our events and engagement. We have everything that we need to move forward with our struggles. So a few things that we need to remind ourselves. The votes will be open until tomorrow evening. However, we want to thank you for your patience as we address the technical issues with the voting tool today. Our technical team is actively working to resolve the problem, and while we currently do not have an estimated time for the fix, it appears that mechanical reset of some kind will be necessary. We will keep you updated as soon as we have more information on this. So we will notify you through Halo, through mail, and other communication channels that as soon as the voting system is operational. Again, once the system is back up, voting will be reopened for a period of 1 day. We kindly ask you that you recast your votes during this time to ensure that they are accurately recorded. And we want to thank you for your understanding and your cooperation. I will just jump in again, say it's summer, it's hot, technology is also not used to it. let's just blame the weather. And yeah, so the results will be shared on the following Friday. If anyone has any questions to the strategy team, to the treasury, to the general secretary's office or elected officials office, or the Halo team, which we heard from just now, or the internal audit committee, or would like to know how to become part of these very cool teams or any other teams within Vault, please reach out to the general secretary's office and they will connect you. So I will now officially close the General Assembly, and I will, by following the statutes, I confirm as chair that all debates have been conducted in English and have been accessible to all Vault Europa members. So we have reached the end of the discussions, and as my role of chairperson, I officially close the General Assembly. Thank you all very much.